Bloomberg reported that Donald Trump and his lackeys they've been redacting. You see, there it is. Look, Donald Trump is the most innocent. Also, is a very smart. No, okay, I jest. But Bloomberg did report that Trump's name has been redacted from the Epstein files. Now, a few months ago, they employed around 1,000 lackeys to go through these files and remove Trump's name. But you see, the Transparency Act that they all voted on, 427 to 1, prevents that from happening. It's written in such a way that it's almost impossible for Donald Trump to be able to redact his name. It says in there, no redactions for the purpose of, protecting an individual, such as a politician, such as Donald Trump. It goes into more detail than that. But it is literally that straightforward. Written in such a way that they've actually focused on all the things they know that Donald Trump would try to do, including a potential executive order, all right? Because he could do an executive order on the basis of national security, all right? But they've got that written into it as well. They'd have to have some kind of written justification for it, all right? Also, Congress would have to, vote on it. We'd have to go to Congress. Now, we all saw, maybe you didn't, but anyway, Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, he was very sheepish and not very happy that he didn't get to make his amendments to the bill. But because of such a massive 427 to 1, one person voted against it, Mr. Clay, second ass. Because of that, they just rushed it through and got it through the Senate. Just like that. Pretty much. And about bypassed Mike Johnson. They knew exactly what they were doing, all right? The administration, or should I say the regime in power, they're not very bright. They really are not very bright. They wanted to make changes to the Transparency Act, or the bill that went through, but they were too slow. Yeah. So, although Trump is obviously going to have his name redacted, and that's what's going to get sent over, without Trump's name in it anywhere, or any Republicans. The fact of the matter is, it doesn't make it legal. It just doesn't. If I show you this,
those files and have a very slanted version of it come out where it's like, look at what he's doing without releasing any of their bad behavior.
Do you think the stuff with Epstein will actually get released or not at all?
If it does, it'll be heavily redacted and his name won't be in it.
But those files do exist.
There's files,
yeah.
For sure. There's thousands and thousands of pages of files. But again, if they're released in any way, it's going to be very redacted. They'll redact every Republican or conservative person in those files, leave all the liberal, democratic people in those files, and have a very slanted version of it come out where it's like, look at what he's doing without releasing any of their bad behavior.
Do you think the stuff with Epstein will actually get released or not at all?
If it does, it'll be heavily redacted. And
if it does, it'll be heavily redacted. This guy here is he works in that department basically, and there's about 1,000 odd agents have got to be going through this fucking thing. Now, this was a few months ago, all right? But the fact of the matter is that the regime's not to be trusted. Trump is not to be trusted. Trump is panicking. Now, before even signing this vote, there was almost like a lockdown at the White House. No press, no nothing. And then finally he signed it once they this is what we're going to do. We're going to just redact your name. We're going to replace it with Republican names, mate. I don't know, whatever they're planning on doing. There'll be black splodges over it everywhere. It will literally be a bit like this. Yeah. Right. Now, joking aside, let's get real, all right? Donald Trump, most likely, allegedly, was one of the key abusers of these women and young girls. I say women because I'm thinking about other individuals as well who would have been within age but would have been groomed. And then there's Ghislaine Maxwell, who's currently residing in a low security prison. Bit of a holy camp, really, with her little companion dogs she's got. She's allowed to do what she fucking likes there. And anyone who says anything ends up in a high security prison. I'm talking about inmates, yeah. And then any staff that works there end up being transferred to a high security prison, because obviously it's a much nicer place to work. So no one wants to say anything. Suppression. So no, it's not legal for Trump to redact these files. He's going to try, and that is what is going to be submitted in the first draft. And then shit will hit the fan and say, nope, you can't do that. He's now signed it into law in its original draft. He's done this to try and make, Trump, he's not guilty because he signed it. No, it's an illusion. You've been gaslit. Anyway, what do you reckon? I would like to know, and I do actually read, the comments and what have you, but many of you might already know that, but I do actually read them, because I know a lot of people don't bother, but I do. I can't always reply, because it's virtually impossible. So many of them, but I do go through them and have a good look. And I do enjoy reading the comments, because I learn from you. Sometimes if I make a mistake or something, I'm very happy to be told that I've made a mistake. And I can obviously check it out for myself and that as well. Because we're all learning in this. This is such a massive shit show. And there's so much stuff that we have to research and learn about and try and fact check, and that is a nightmare these days. And then obviously you've got AI. You have to wonder whether or not something's real all the time, and it's getting harder and harder and harder to try and supply you with information that isn't effectively a lie. And like I say to you, I won't lie to people. I do not lie. I won't lie. I could lie, but someone stopped me from lying, apart from the fact that I've been lied to all my bloody life, and I've made promises to myself that I will not lie to people. I might have fun, I suppose sometimes with comedy and stuff it could be considered a bit of a fib, but it's only just to put a smile on people's faces, But as lying to people to try and manipulate people and stuff like that, or just to tell you a load of bollocks, I'm not going to do it. It's not worth it. My fucking memory, I'd forget it. And you always got to remember the lies. That's the thing, you see. You always got to remember the bloody lies. And if you don't, you get caught out, and then nobody trusts you ever again. The best thing is just don't do it. Tell the truth and shame the devil. That's what you got to do. Anyway, please hit the like button. Toodaloo.